Hello coders, good morning, a little bit late. So I did say I would be here about 10 a.m. so I'm about 7 minutes later, to apologize. What I'm going to do today is we're going to continue on the Stripe event stuff. I want to do a bit more testing, capture some more events, and store them in fixtures so then they become repeatable for repeatable testing. I want to update the console command and basically tighten things up a bit. So what I'm going to do first up, let's bring up the code here. Okay, so this isn't the code, sorry, this is the GitHub issues. The first thing I'm going to do before I go through any of that is I'm going to fix some of these bugs. One of which that is of interest is this one here. Because this was the one that we found yesterday where we logged in and we went to the settings page and it failed with this message. So I just want to do a little bit of investigation on this first, and then we'll crack on with the command, one of these, refactor Stripe console command, that one. So, okay, let's get into here. We've just started the machine, the Docker machine, so I need to evaluate the shell. There we go, and we'll go into our site directory, and if I did a git checkout of main, let's do a git pull, make sure I've got all the stuff. Okay, let's take a look at the code, because we had a branch yesterday and I just want to see what that was. I think that was this one. That's the disabled run. Okay, yeah, okay. So change of plan. First of all, I'm going to fix change of plan. I'm going to fix this issue here. Then I'm going to continue on with the disabled subscription features, and then after that I plan to crack on with the refactoring of the Stripe console command. This is the events, so that's the way we're going to play it. Alright, so this one here is the one we found out yesterday. Variable enrollments does not exist. When we log in with this account into here. Now, I want to just be 100% sure what's going on with the code. So let's take a look. Let's close all of that down. Let's go to our, it would be accounts controller. And I think it would be somewhere settings. Here we go. Now this is going off. This is interesting. It's going off to the courses page, and it's not supplying the user. Oh, sorry, it is supplying the user, but it's only supplying that. Excuse me. Okay. So that's going off to here, and this requires the user, yes. And it also requires enrollments. So we're not supplying enrollments. Gotcha. All right. But my question is, why are we going to here? It just seems like we're going to there. Why is that? I think I created the settings page, and I reckon I had a plan as to what I wanted to do with it, and I just put in this as a dummy. And now I can't remember what it was that I wanted to do. So I've got a feeling this is dead code. Yeah. Okay. So in that case, if it is dead code, what we need to do is delete the settings from here. And I think that's what we'll do. I think that's probably the easiest way to get around this, is just to remove it, because at the minute I can't think of what I would do with the settings. I think I had some plan and then it went sideways. Let's do git checkout -b. Let's do fixes. Let's do remove settings. There we go. So for this to work, let's load up the page. First up, that's probably a good idea, right? Let's get into it, and well, we've got an account here that we can use. So we actually let's log out. We're already logged in. Excuse me. So a bit of Twig first up, and then we'll move on with the PHP. Okay, let's log in with this person's account. Let's get rid of that space there. I think I've probably copied a space, haven't I? I have. Let's just paste that in there. I keep doing this. I keep pressing the wrong button to do a tab, and what I should be doing is pressing, I think it's Shift tab to shift between. No, it's not. There is. See, this is a new keyboard. This is why I'm getting it wrong. My old keyboard, I was able to press a combination where my fingers rest, and it would switch between tabs of the browser. Anywho, so the error is when we get to the settings page, it fails, and the fix is to remove the settings page. So I just want to mimic that. Okay, that is the same thing. Good. All right, so first up, we want to remove this from here. Off you go, because it's not doing anything. It's just using the courses section, and I'll also I'll triple check that in a sec. So let's go to here and remove the settings from here, and let's refresh the page. That setting shouldn't be in play anymore. Yes, it's gone. Okay, that's cool. And I also want to make sure that when we go to the courses page, see, we pass in enrollments at this point here. So this should work. So let's go over to courses here. And enrollments should be empty because we don't have any enrollments. That's correct. You haven't enrolled in any course. So that was the fix. It was just a simple removal for that method. And update the twig. So I'm going to do a excuse me, a git commit -am removing settings page, and we'll do a git push on that one. Yep, let's push that up to the origin. There we do. There we go. We're also going to keep staging up to date as well. So we'll do git checkout staging, and we'll. I'm not sure. Is this coming off the stream? I can't tell. Let's move up there. Let's do git merge of that branch. Can't spell merge, so it's fixes, and what was the fix called? Remove settings. There we go. That's good. Always good when we remove things. We don't have any acceptance tests for that, so yeah, we don't have any acceptance tests. We got account profile, but that's all we got, so that should be fine. Excellent. Okay, so that will go off to our pipelines. So we'll do a merge in a minute on that. So let's do an open on this. So there we go. Our pipelines are working through those things. Whilst that happens, I think what I can do is take a look at this one. So this is the one we were doing last night, where we had let's do a compare a minute. Yeah. Well, we added this bit here, subscription disabled. So this is when you've got a disabled subscription to remove some of the functionality of the back end. So in this case, it checks whether it's active, and if it's false, then we supply this template. Else, we continue on down the road. We also updated the SQL file, it looks, and also we created a step in here, an acceptance test as well. So we'll continue down that path because I think there's some more that I need to do there. Excuse me. Excuse me. God. How are these actions doing? There we go. So that's passed, which is good. This is creating the. This is actually creating a Docker image for this, so that takes a bit more time. Okay, so we go to issues here, and it was this one here. That one. Disable my account features when subscription is inactive. That's the one. We did this one. Dashboard my courses. We've already removed settings, so that can go as well. So it's just that last thing to do. Let's see now. How are these going through? Because I really want to do a merge into main, but I'm not going to do it until this is passed. What I'll do though is I'll do git checkout of I can always merge it back in, can't I? So features and what was it? Disable. What did I call that? What did I call that branch? Do I have a branch associated to this? I should do. Yeah, here we go. I should have linked the things together, but whatever. Okay, let's grab that. Okay. I'm gonna put a pull request in place for this. That was the one we did before. Otherwise, there's too many things going on. Let's create a pull on that. So that would have kicked off another action, I think. Yeah. Right. So this is where we've got where one's logged in. If we refresh the page now, we should have a different message here. I think. Yeah, we should have a different message at this point. This should be removed. Date enrolled should be removed because you don't have an active subscription. So therefore, this. Oh, that didn't change. Interesting. Interesting. Why didn't that change? No, it won't be a cachey thing. Interesting. I don't know why that hasn't changed. Let's log out, log back in. Possibly cached? I don't know. Maybe. Log back in. There was a particular user actually for this, so it might have been that. This would be in. This user account is defined in user fixtures. Scroll all the way to here, wherever this lives. There we go. Swear that was the same account though. How are these actions doing? Still going through. There we go. Your subscription is currently inactive. Okay. I reckon that was cached. Interesting. Okay. So the settings page is back because we're in a different branch. And what we want to do now is when we go to the courses section, we want to have this bit here to be your subscription is inactive too. Essentially, it's the same box as this one. So what I need to do is create an acceptance test to ensure that that is the case. And we created some acceptance tests, acceptance test yesterday that we can sort of jump on. This one here, user dashboard disabled subscription fixture. This is for the dashboard though. I want to create another one specifically for user courses. Disabled subscription. Okay, so all subscription features in the users course page in the account in the user, let's do users a course page, are disabled when the current subscription is inactive. So we log in with this account, which we do have as a disabled subscription. Use your words, Pete, use your words. And then this one, we want to go over to here, and so that's account course. Is it course or courses? Courses, isn't it? That's the page, courses, yep. And we want to make sure that we can't see this. So we want to make sure that data enrolled we can't see, but we want to make sure that we can see your subscription is currently inactive in here. Okay. So let's run this test, and the test is we refactor, rename, grab this whole thing, the file name, because I have a make file for this. If we did make, here we go, test acceptance, and we remove this and we pass in the variable of filter to be the file name that we want to supply. This should be a failing test now, because this is saying we don't want to see data enrolled, and so this should fail because we can see it. And it's failing because we can't connect to Selenium. So let's do docker compose up -d, and I think that might be just enough. Let's just put them all up. That's fine. Selenium test is up to date. Okay, let's try and run that again. How are we getting on with these things? That is our merge. Is it our merge? I was going to say it's the wrong way around. Let's refresh. The merge has gone in, and then this one is that's merging into staging, and then this one is doing the merge into there into main. Okay. How are we going on? Still thinking about it. Still doing its thing. There we go. It's failed. So I don't see failed asserting on account courses. These are all the things that it's found. Does not contain data enrolled, and we've got data enrolled here. So course data enrolled. Yeah. So it's failed because it can see that. So what we need to do is fix it. So if we go over to now where would that be? It would be in templates, it would be in front end, it would be in account, it would be in courses. Here we go. So what I need to do, I believe, it's pretty straightforward, I think, he says. is I go into the index page and we copy this section. In fact, we can copy all of that and paste it into there. Now, I'm looking at this thinking, hang on a minute, it's the same code. It's exactly the same code. So maybe we can go one step further and actually have this block, because there's no point in duplicating the whole, hang on, sorry, I'm in the wrong thing. There's no point in duplicating the whole thing. There's that in there, and then in dashboard, which I can't find because it's in index. There we go. It's the same jazz. It's the same thing. So I think what I need to do is have components and put in a new component. Let's create a new one, and we'll do let's do my courses. It's called my courses. My courses .html.twig. There we go. So this is going to have, if we use the courses one first, because this is the, sorry, not that one, the index. If we use the dashboard one, because that's the one really that is required. It finishes there, isn't it? My courses. In fact, I might just push over the whole thing, because we've got, yeah, let's just do, actually no, I'm just gonna run it from here. Right, in there, paste that in, and we're going to include that. If we go into the index again, we're going to do oh, hang on a minute, let's go in this. There we go. Include of front end, it's front end, it's accounts, it's components, and it is underscore my courses.html.twig, that one. What's going on with that? Twig template is missing. Oh, it's because I started typing, and there we go. Can I get rid of that as well? So this requires enrollments and a current subscription. So what I could do is I could pass them in on a with, but I think this, I already have it at this stage. So we're gonna just, we'll see. It will fail massively if that's not the case. Let's go into courses and let's remove, put that in as well. There we go. So now if I was to refresh on here, haha, can't find that. So have I, that's on the courses page, have I screwed up where this is coming from? Front end account, probably have, hang on. Front end account, components, my courses, that one. So why can't you pick it up? Aha, here we go. Variable current subscription does not exist. Right, so we need to do here a with, and we need to pass in some stuff, don't we? Current subscription, and also we need to pass in, which I'll just do as false for now, and then we have another one which I think is enrollments, right? Oh, we'll get to it when we get to it. So on the courses page, do we not have on the... See, I said this was going to be straightforward, but clearly it isn't, which is typical. This would be in account, controller. We're passing in the user and passing in the enrollments. And on the dashboard, what are we doing on the dashboard here? Which would be, I think it would be an index, right? There we go. We're passing in the user, the current subscription, gotcha. So we need to find the current subscription. As well down in here. Now I'm just intrigued. I want to just have a look into what this is doing. This is the... Yeah, that seems okay. That's good. So yeah, we also need to push this into the index. Sorry, in the courses section in here. So we've got the enrollments, and now we have this. So we need to pass in current subscription. Into there. Sorry, we need to get the manager, don't we? So let's go and grab that. The manager comes from here. It's pretty much very similar at this stage, isn't it? There we go. And let's update. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. And let's clear up the imports as well. Good, good, good. Okay, so now when we go over to here, not there, sorry. Where are we? In here. There we go. I'm just gonna not bother with that because I think it's okay. Let's go and take a look at this again. Let's refresh that page. I'm laughing because on my other screen, there we go, your subscription is currently inactive. Cool, okay. Whoops. So, if we go back to the dashboard, are we running the same twig? I think, well, I mean, we should be, but is it okay still? No, it's not. Unable to find, it's because of that template name, isn't it? So if we go over to index here, it's okay because my, it's because of that, my acceptance tests will ensure that everything is what it says. There we go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, before we go any further, let's go and take a look at our actions. Why is that still doing... That's taking an awfully long time. What exactly are you doing? Just wait for it to go. This is currently live, so it's still doing stuff. It's not in some crazy loop. It's still doing a build. Okay, fine. Right, I am going to now run the acceptance test. Excuse me. In fact, at this stage of the game, I'm going to run all the tests because we have fixed. We should have fixed that issue. This one here. Course is my course. So we'll wait for all these tests to pass, run through, and if they have, then we'll merge it up. Okay, so Stan is going through its motions. $10,000 guaranteed reasons to enter this contest. No. Spam. There we go. I'm having some quite a lot of spam callers recently. I swear there's like a surge of spam callers after due to the pandemic. Okay, so here we go. It's now checking the schema for the database. That's done. Now it's doing a clear of the cache. Excellent. Now it's doing a rebuild of the database. And then it is going to run the tests. And we will wait for those to go. So I've now got myself into a position where I'm waiting for two things to happen. The first thing is, that build's done. Woohoo! Go back to actions. Yay, that's done. Okay. So let's go to the code here. Let's take a look at the pull requests. That's what I wanted. Sorry, removing state settings page. We now have a tick on all of these things, so we can now merge that in. So let me just quickly see what the code I wrote, just to be 100% sure. Oh yeah, that was to remove the settings page and remove that from the left-hand menu bar. That's fine. Happy with that. So let's go back over to here and merge that in. Yep. And we'll get rid of that branch as well. And then what we do, go over to the code once more. No. We're waiting for our local tests to go through. So we've done all of our unit tests. They are all happy. Now we're going through our integration tests. I mean, I don't see any of this being an issue, really. But it's always good to run this. I haven't ran this today, so it's always good to make sure that the system's all up and running. And then, once this is done, actually what we can do is we can get rid of that issue. I should have done on the pull request, I should have linked them. The one that we did earlier, the removing of the thingy, wherever that is, this one here. I'm going to close that issue. I should have linked it to the thing, but whatever. There's literally only me working on this, so I'm being a little bit over the top in the code, you know, pull requests and everything to myself, but it keeps me on my toes. So now we're just waiting for the local run of all of this stuff. So that looks like all the integration tests have gone through. Now we'll just go through and wait for the acceptance tests. This is the one that I'm thinking might fail. So we'll wait for those, which unfortunately will take a bit of time. But whilst that's going on, we can start planning for what we're going to do next. Excuse me. And this is what we're going to do next will be this one. So we're still working through this whole process. What I'm thinking of doing is maybe splitting this up into little subtasks or little sub-issues, just because this is getting quite a big thing, and this has already been merged into main, so it might be easier if I break this down into smaller little chunks and merge those things individually rather than have a big branch that's open for a while. I really don't like that idea. So what I'm thinking of doing is closing this off and actually writing out other issues, and I think we'll do that whilst this goes through. Do a little bit of planning. I think that's probably wise. So I'm going to close this issue down, and I'm going to create some more issues. These are features. I suppose it's in the other, I guess. Again, it's only me working on this. So feature details. So first up, I want to do an event where I want to listen for an event where the customer has been created on Stripe. So there's a customer created event, I think. Let me just double check that a minute. If we go over to Stripe docs. Wow, this browser has many tabs open. Let's get rid of some. Didn't realize it was that huge. Yeah. So we're going to do customer. I think it's customer.created, I believe. Yeah. So this is the event that happens when the customer is created, and this is the object that we get back. Now, I know that when we create an invoice, we also the customer gets created at that stage from our point of view. But I want to, because I was reading through the documentation the other day, and it said that some of these events happen in different times. So you get a customer created event, and then you get an invoice created, succeeded event. I want to make sure that I've got an event that just specifically, or a job that specifically caters for this. So in this case, we're going to have create a console script, or let's just do handle customer dot created event in Stripe event. All right. Okay, so create the all right, let's do some of this stuff. So this would be right, create a console command to associate Stripe customer to HTCW user, add customer.created event type to event queue. What else? I think that's all I need to do, really. Those two. So create a console command to associate I'll just do process. The customer.created event. And I suppose what we should do is do that one first, right? That's the... Yeah. Cool. Let's just put all of this as it's a DB, it's a command. Right. Let's oh wait, hang on a minute. Have I just changed my... I have. Sorry. That's annoying. I've just gone and... That's all right. Have I? I have. I have literally just got rid of all of that work. No, I haven't. It's in the another window. Silly me. So it is DB, it is command, it is projects, and the milestone is Q2. Come on. So how are we getting on with our testing here? I'm still going through them. Acceptance tests do take a long time. Annoyingly. So what we need to do here is we need to create an command, console command, and we need to add the customer.created to that as a type. First of all, I suppose what I need to do is just commit my work, otherwise before I change over. So we'll do moving customer What have I got in my stash? Okay, I'm going to drop those. I know what that is. Because what we'll do, whilst these tests are going through, I will start cutting the code and then I'll stash it. So we don't have anything now on there. Good. All right. And whilst we're at it, we'll do a git push as well, just to push it up. Good. Did I do that already? Yeah. Okay. On branch, disable. Everything's up to date. Really? Oh yes, I did push there. Yep. Okay, so what we need to do now is go to our queue mechanism, which is in gosh, can't remember. Here we go. Stripe queue event report. That one, I think. Yeah, here we go. And what this is doing is it's returning a report. And if we go to find all, I think, no. Events, find all, table. No, it's not from that point. It's from the WebHooks point of view, isn't it? So web hook. Hook controller, there we go. So it comes into there. We validate the hook. I think it's in. I think it is in here. The validation routine. There we go. Valid types. So do we have customer created? We got customer subscription deleted, but we don't have customer created. So let's put that in. So it is customer.created. Wonderful. We'll just bung it up there for a minute. And again, we'll do. So this is an array of valid valid Stripe events. Excuse me. So that should now validate that and go, okay, that's fine. which means that we should be able to get it should go into that Q command, and if that's the case, then we should have fixed that issue there. Let's have a look at the things. We're still going through them. Okay, fine. If we go to wherever the action, no, not that one. Too many tabs. Here we go. I think that's sorted that one out. So then this one, obviously we need to run a test for it and actually capture the event, obviously. I'm sure it fires that off. I'm now doubting myself whether or not this event is fired. I think what I'm going to do is hook is connect to Stripe, run a test order, and just see. Yeah, I'll do that now. Let's. What's the best way to do that? I'll have to do it off stream. Give me a sec whilst I deal with that. So I need to take this off stream for a second. Do. Cool. Okay, now I need to do a Stripe listen. And I also need to get into Stripe itself. And make sure the webhooks running. If we go to settings here. Cool. Okay, I think that's good. So that should be wired up now. We'll have to unfortunately wait for our tests to go through. Kind of trying to do many things at once here. Come on, must be close to finishing. Yeah, because I want to fire off an event, and then I suppose I could do this now, right? It is going to. Thing is, this is dropping the database for each time, so I can't really do that unless I was to spin it up in a different container. I think we're nearly done. Anyway. Let's just crack on with the code, and if we don't need it, we don't need it, right? So in command, we essentially need another one of these things. And this one here is going to be Stripe customer created event. I think I've gone and spelled that wrong, haven't I? and we give it an event name. So this is process customer created here. Okay, so processing Stripe customer created events. So down here where we do get events, we want to change this up to be the event that we have just put in. So this is type customer created. There we go. I may refactor it. I probably should refactor this and put this in a, because I've got a feeling we're going to have many of these jobs. So this could be in an abstract somewhere. Anywho, so we get the events. We loop through those events. We unpack the payload. We put it in the store. We unpack the payload. Now I don't know what the payload actually looks like. I suppose. Well, I've got an example of it here, haven't I? Yeah, where we got the ID. So yeah, I've just spotted a potential issue here. You've got phone, you've got email, customer's email, getting the customer's email. I think what we should do is change this up a bit. Let's go to because at this stage we don't have the user. So that doesn't make any sense. What we need instead is get store, get customer ID, and I've got a horrible feeling that's gonna be somewhere else. Object customer. Yeah, it's not gonna be. That's not gonna be what I need. It's because I've gone and created this payload store, which mimics, and it's made some assumptions on where these things are. That's a pain. Yeah, that's not gonna fly. Could we do no? Let me just work this out. Unpack, set payload to array. I see. So it's that. Okay, let's try. I suppose what I could do is change the type, couldn't I? So if we did get store, get customer ID. Do these have an update? These do have an object. Do these have like a type of something? Invoice, prefix, settings, live mode, name, phone. Doesn't look like it. It has an object. I think I'm going to have to rethink this, because this doesn't make any sense in this context. It works fine for the invoice paid stuff, but not for what we want to try and do now. That's a pain. I suppose what I could do is just do a get payload that returns an array. and then get the ID off of this. Or what I could do, actually an easier one, is I could do this, right? Get store. I could create a get ID from here, couldn't I? Yeah, I could do that. Return this, and it would be payload. Sorry, this. Actually, I'm doing it too. I need to do it in the abstract in here. There we go. And that's going to return a string. It's this payload, and it's ID. Else empty. Right. So, sorry, from here I can do get store. Get ID. There we go. So this is customer ID here. I'm gonna have to rethink. This this whole store thing, because that's not strictly true. That's the yeah, that's not strictly true, and nor is that. I think what I should do actually is, instead of using an array, use the actual representation of this. The thing that I wanted to avoid though is I kind of want to create an adapter just in case Stripe changes their response. So yeah, that's not going to fly. So I shouldn't be using the raw Stripe object. Just in case the SDK changes. Let me think about this for a second. Get store. Maybe we should create our own stores for specific events. Maybe that's what I should be doing. So at the moment I've got the Stripe payload handler here, and the Stripe payload handler has no knowledge of what type of payload it is. And maybe we need to have a payload handler specifically to certain payloads. I think that's probably the way to go, because then I can do this kind of jazz specifically to those payloads. I think that's probably the best bet from an architectural, from a structural point of view, I think. Yeah. Where does this live anyway? Stripe payload handler. If we go to src and we go into Stripe, and we've got event handler. There we go. That's where it lives. So maybe we need to have different payload, different handlers for different types of payloads that extend this one, that can do an unpack, but then has the ability to pull out specific things. Well, they would be different stores, right? They would be different stores. So it wouldn't be different handlers, it would be different stores. Yeah, okay. I think that's probably wise. Let's just take a look at what this is doing. Okay, we got a failure. Brilliant. That's not what I wanted. We've got a few failures. We've got a timeout there. Oh no. We got an error. It looks like what's happened is after this error, which was the which was a failure. This has happened to me before with acceptance tests. When something fails, like this, where we got a timeout, a script timeout exception, the rest of the stuff goes eh. Yeah, because all of this is saying cannot find this, and I reckon we should have some images. If we go to the testing, we go to output. Yeah. Let's have a look at some of these images. Odd. That's a bit weird. No, maybe these are bigger than I thought. Okay, what we'll do. That's frustrating. We'll stash what we've done and we'll fix this. It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? Let's do git status git stash save. We'll do changes for payload for Stripe and delay. Sorry, that needs to be -u for untracked changes. There we go. Right. Let's fix these issues. Annoyingly, there's quite a lot of them. I'm going to leave this one because this one is a script timeout, so I'm just going to leave that for now. Let's work on this one. Register as a free user and watch a course. So there we go. That's what this one should look like. And we've got this syntax expression. If user isn't an instance of user. So what's going on there? This is a command. Oh, wait. I know what this is all about. This is because I've been screwing about with these files whilst the tests have been running. Oh. I know why that, and I bet the other ones are the same too. Let's go and have a look at this one. So, yeah, it's the same deal. Let's have a look at this one. Yep, same deal. It's because I've been playing around with, same deal. That's frustrating, isn't it? I think what I'll do is when I'm on lunch, I'll run these tests. That's what I think I'll do. Okay. Okay, I'm still gonna do a git checkout of staging, and I'm gonna merge this up. So we'll do git branch just to see what the branch is called. It was disable subscription features. Yeah, I know what that's for. Let's check out main. Let's do a git checkout hyphen. Let's do a git poll, and let's do a git checkout -b of feature. Yeah, so when I'm on lunch, I'll run those tests through. So this is customer event. Stripe customer created event. All right. That's very annoying. Listen to myself. I shouldn't be playing around with code whilst there's tests running. I'm just impatient. Let's do git stash apply to bring them all back. Okay. I guess what we should do is take a look at that. Just take a look at that error. It was in the it was in one of these commands, wasn't it? It was in here. Yes, that red marker. There we go. That is it. That was the problem. It's because I was messing about with this and screwed that up whilst the acceptance tests were running. I was like, you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, lesson learned. Right. So, where my head was at is that in the store, what we need to do is have a different store for different payload types. So we would have a store that would be for the invoice paid, and we would have a store for the customer creation. So how would I inject that? If we did payload handler, so we inject the payload handler into here. I wonder if what we need to do. Get store. Get store is injected into here. So I need to think of a way of changing that. Or changing, like having a so the events come in with a type, so I could trigger that off from here. So I could create a sort of a store factory, couldn't I? And then based on the type, I could then pull out the various. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna grab a cup of tea, I think, because I'm starting to cough a lot, and then I'll be back. So I'm gonna grab a cup of tea, and then we'll work through that. Okay, so sitting down now. I think what we need to do is create like a facade for these events, for the payloads at least. I think that's what we need to do. So what I'm going to start with, and when we get, when we unpack the payload, what we need to do is we need to set the store up based on here, because we've got the event, and the event has get type, right, which is the null, which is the string, and from there we can then work out, well, this is the specific store that we're after. So, and I think we can probably decouple a bit of it. Let me get store unpack payload handler. I reckon we need to just do a little bit of code change. If we go, I'm just going to riff for a bit. So this is get store. I think we've done this. I think we've done this wrong. Yeah, I reckon I've done this wrong. Payload handler. Payload handler gets injected into here. I think what we need to do is this payload handler. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is create a new class that does what I think it should do, and then we'll do a lift and shift. I think that's probably wise. So, and I will do it in event. I'm going to just grab that, and I'm going to call this Stripe event handler, not payload handler, event handler. Or am I? I don't know. We're not going to pass in the payload store. That is what we're going to get through polymorphism. So, in fact, this is more of a factory, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So, raw payload. What we need to do is set event, set Stripe event. Which is that one. So this is now event in here. And we're just going to return self. So we'll create private event in there, which is now I'm not going to do any TDD just because I'm throwing things on the page at the moment. I just want to see what sticks because I'm unsure yet whether this is the right way to go. So I'm just sort of planning and playing at the minute. So this this event is equal to and it's going to be nullable. Get rid of this. Right, the get payload store, I'm going to call it, is going to return an interface. Now it's going to return the interface based on the type of event that we've got. So if we did this event, well, first up, we want to make sure that there is an event. So we do this if this event instance of event, then we throw something. Then we do this event. Is it get type or something? Type. And then, and in fact, I'm going to do make payload store, not get payload store, because this is, and I'm going to change this to be a Stripe event payload factory, payload store factory. I don't know, factory. So it's not a handler. It's a factory to return the stores. So Stripe event store, payload store. Factory, that makes sense, in my head at least. Then what we do is we can have a switch statement. And we can say, well, if, and we pass in the type. And we can have a case of where we have, let's say, the one that we're playing with at the moment is customer.created. We'll break that out. We also have another one which is customer, well, it's invoice paid, and then so on and so on and so on. So that's, then we have default, which will have throw something. And then sort of in here we'll have, actually no, up here we'll have payload store is equal to null. No, we won't. Payload store null comes down into there. Like so. We'll then do if payload store is a instance of, isn't an instance of, I should say, the interface of then we throw something. There we go. And then what we do down here is we return the payload store. Again, none of this is working. None of this is just coming straight out of my brain. So we check the event. We get the type. That can be moved into there. We get the types here. That's the payload store if it's null. Then we do payload store up here. Payload store is equal to new, I don't know, this would be, what would we call it? The class would be in here, so it would be Stripe payload store customer created. This one would be invoice paid. And all of these two would payload store. They would inherit, they would implement, sorry, this interface, which we get to create, and we would also do this. Would we set? No. In fact, I don't think we need doctrine at this stage. I don't think we need. I mean, all this. These are just simply containers, aren't they, for the payload? So, yeah, we don't need this. We don't need this. What we do need is the event and the payload. That. So what we will need to do is pass in the event like that. I think that's probably wise. Right, so if we go into here, let's create the interface. So this is our Stripe payload store interface. Let's just grab some stuff in here. This is obviously a interface. I'm not sure yet methods we need yet, so let's just keep that there for a second. So this is in store interface. Let's create the other one, or the classes from these. So this is the payload store interface, right? Payload store interface, like so. This one down here would be yeah, let's grab that, paste that in. Which one are we going to do first? The payload store customer created event. In fact, thinking about it, based on the documentation, right? We have customer, right? Dot created and deleted. So created, here we go, is a customer, is a customer, is a customer. I think what we need to do instead of this, instead of customer created, we just need to do customer. And I'm gonna, yeah, customer. Yeah. Is that one? And I think this is just going to be invoice. Let me just check that. Invoice dot paid is an invoice, 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 is an invoice. Yeah, gotcha. This is making much more sense in my head now. Let's change that to be invoice. Let's just get rid of all of this rubbish for a second. I'm just gonna implement the interface that we've got here, which is our Stripe. Come on, S. Where are you? S. Stripe. Yeah, I think this is probably good, because now in the store factory, what I can do is look for various different types of events. So, for instance, this would be invoice paid. This would also be invoice failed, payment failed. That's a good one to look for, I suppose. I mean, obviously, we'll plumb all this in. I'm still playing with the. There we go. I'm still playing with the structure of things. Okay, let's create the Stripe payload. Stripe payload store. Oh no, sorry, I need to actually create the class. Silly me, sorry. So these are like facades, right? So these will come, they'll need an abstract class as well. So we'll do that. In fact, I'm gonna, yeah. So it's going to be abstract. Doesn't implement anything. And this is going to have a construct where we have a Stripe event. Is the event, and we're going to have a protected event in here, which is Stripe. And this here is going to be this event is equal to event here. And because it's abstract, I can't instantiate this, which is fine. I don't want to. But I can. Where's that one? I can extend it. So we can do extend Stripe. Sorry, abstract. There we go. And we'll put in that in here too, in the invoice. There we go. So the idea is that we inject this into our command. Sorry, we set the Stripe event that we've got, that we found in our loop. We then run make payload store, which will return the payload store specifically to the event type. Now, expected parameter, that's wrong. Abstract. I thought that was, no, it's an event, isn't it? There we go, Stripe event. There we are. Oops. Good. And that should be the same for that one too. And if we go back to this factory, why isn't that wired up? Stripe payload. I can't remember what I've called it. It is store. And it is invoice. There we go. So now in the command processor, what I'm going to do is, instead of inject that, I'm going to inject Stripe payload event factory. payload store factory. And then down here, when we loop over and get the events, we loop over each one of these events. So we got the event here. What we can do is this payload store factory set stripe event. In fact, what's the point in having a setter? There's no point in having a setter. Let me get into here. I could just put that into here. That's the only thing that we need, right? This stage. So we don't need a setter. We just, and do we need that? No, we don't. So here we go. We pass in the event like so. And that out pops the type of payload store. So payload. And that payload store, let's see what's going on with that. Expected stripe event, but webhook. Oh! It's a stripe webhook. Ah, darn. No, no, no. That needs to be... Ah, darn it. I thought it was something else. On unpack event here. Hang on. Where does this... Oh, I thought my head was somewhere else, I think, when I was doing this. I thought these were Stripe events, but they're not. They're webhooks. Stripe webhook events, which are stored into the database. Okay. See, this is why I didn't jump into TDD, because I wasn't sure whether this was... Although, to be fair, if I did it in TDD, I would have found this sooner. Yeah, so I should... Shush. Now thinking about how to do that. It's in the store. Unpack the payload, set the payload, that becomes the array. Right. That's what we need to do. And a get payload event. Ah, and it's the event with the type. Okay, yeah, no. We can still go through this. It's just a matter of changing that to be Stripe webhook. Oh yeah, and also because we're not setting anywhere, we should just... There we go. Get type. There we go, it's starting to come together now. I need to change this to be Stripe though. Sorry. No, this is a Stripe webhook. Good. Good, so let's get back to that command, which is here. So yeah, we get the payload, we pass in the event. Out pops the payload store. Now the payload store is the interface. So we can now start hacking upon the interface. And we can also do this. If payload store instance of, and then we can do the look at the concrete class. So stripe payload store. Customer, there we go. If it's not that, then there we go. So now we can do things like payload store and then get customer ID and all that jazz. And we are running it against. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense in my brain. So. Okay, so with these things here, we passed in this, we need to unpack the payload, and we'll do this from inside the abstract. So we'll create a public function unpack. Unpack payload. So this becomes this event get payload, and we need to follow the same rules that we were doing in here. Just grab that. Thank you. Put that into there. Now I'm not going to call that set payload. I might do protected payload, which is an array. Whoops, come on. So this payload, let's do raw payload, event payload is event payload and then toArray. Yes. Now, because that's protected, it means that the other things can leech off of it, which means that we could do public function get ID, right? So this becomes return this. Ah, come on, Pete. This event, this payload ID. In fact, this again can go in the abstract. As it's public, it means that in the and we can also no, that's fine. That's fine. So we can do customer ID is equal to payload store get ID. There we go. That's that sorted. Don't need any of this. Don't need any of this. Don't need any of this. Right. Now we need to get the email address as well. So we can do Stripe. Payload store get email. Now we don't have that yet, so let's go and create that. Let's bring that up into there. This is going to be obviously specific to this particular payload, therefore it's not going to go into the invoice, nor is it going to go in the abstract. So we do public function get email, and we can return this payload. And I think let's have a look. I put that the wrong way around, but let's just quickly have a look at come on. Customer dot created, or is a type of customer. Type of customer comes back. So data dot object is type of customer, and we get object address email. There we go. So put that the other way around. So back into our command, wherever that lives up here, that becomes the email, get email. Brilliant. Cooking on gas now. So we don't need that. I'm going to get rid of this as well. We need to find the user, so let's put some comments in. Find the user by email. Check if the user already is a Stripe customer. If the okay. Right, so let's do that. So find the user by entity. So user is equal to this. Do we have our manager bag? We got a user manager, haven't we, in here? So we got the repository. Why do we do this? Why do we put this manager bag in and the user manager? That doesn't make any sense. What we need to do is pass in user repository. That's what we need to do. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we need to do. I think actually what I'll do, instead of that, I'll pass in the user manager. So we'll get rid of the manager bag and we just pass in the user manager. So down here we can do user manager get repository, find by email, whoops. Stripe email. We should also do let me just pull out the repository, that's probably wise. Repo is equal to this user manager get repository. There we go. Good stuff. Then up here we do let's do known user is equal to repo, because we want to make sure. So we got the Stripe customer ID. In some cases there would be a known user already set up in case Stripe was to send this event twice. So we need to do if if known user is an instance of user, then do something and exit. Return command success. But we're in a loop, so we can't do that. So we'll do a continue. Okay, so then we get the user from the find by email. We need to make sure that we have the user. I mean, there might be a random case that I don't know why, but there could be something there, and at that point we need to log something, throw something. Okay, and then once we've got the user, we can do Stripe customer is equal to new set active is true. Set ID is our Stripe customer ID, and then what we do is user set Stripe customer, Stripe customer. Up here we do our this user manager, save and flush, Stripe. Yeah, I think actually we should just do a save, and we do a this. This isn't going to be performant one bit, but we can work through that in a minute. So there's that check that goes up there. Boom. There we go. That is our command, I think. So we loop over our Stripe webhooks that we've captured in the database, and what we do is we pass the event into there. I'm going to call this just Stripe webhook, because that got me confused. It's not actually the event, it's the webhook that contains the event. There we go. So that that makes the payload store based upon the event that we passed in. If I click through this, let's just make sure it makes sense. So we check whether there is an event. In fact, that's not required anymore because it's type safe. So we pull out the relevant store and we inject in the event. We do a check here just to make sure that we have the interface. Okay, so that'll be the invoice. We'll have to backfill that in a minute. the abstract has a strike webhook event that we inject through the constructor. We can then call unpack, get the payload. I see what I need to do. Something I've missed. I need to call unpack. Unless we call unpack from this point of view. Ooh. We could unpack it when we yeah. This unpack passing in the event. There we go. I can't remember whether I can do this. I just want to try something. The abstract must be compatible with payload stripe get ID. Yeah, that needs to return a string. Yeah, so both of those because they extend the interface. The interface has that get ID thing, so we can now pull that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. I reckon that's good. I mean, I haven't ran the code, so I don't know if it works, but I mean, it looks good to me. I'm just going to grab another quick break and then we'll run through this. So I'll see you very shortly. Okay. Sorry about that. Just grabbing a cup of tea. So, what I'm thinking now is to run this and actually see whether it works. I suppose what we need to do is create some output. That would probably help. So we got some output up here. But I think what we need to do down here is create some output where we've got the prefix output there, and we do user is already a Stripe. Sorry, need to get back into this view, don't I? Stripe customer. So this is skipping. There we go. And cannot find user skipping. I guess we'll have to continue that. There is an error there, but we'll continue on. We shouldn't prevent the whole queue from going through. And this is creating our Stripe there we go. And then after that, we'll do done. Okay. Now, at some point, we need to remove this from the queue, right? At some point, we need to remove it from the queue, or have some setting to say that it's done. Do we have that? Off of the back of the Stripe webhook. Do we have that? Set exception, set type. No, status. So, can we see up here when we do get events? The status is customer. No, sorry, the type is status. Status, that's why we need the manager bag. Damn. Internal status name, which is Stripe new. That's why we needed the manager bag. Darn it. How can I get around that? I didn't realize. So we need the manager, and we need the status manager and the webhook manager. Why do we need those things? Why do we need that? We need the Stripe manager for the repository. And we need the webhook manager for the repository. So could we just not? And we also need up here a repository for the user manager. So could we not just pass in an entity manager. Yeah, let's try that. I will put it in this one. So this is entity manager. Oops. So private. So if we take a look at this stuff down here, could we not just do this? Sorry, this entity manager, get repository, and this is this is webhook status class. This becomes our status repo. This becomes our webhook. That one. So we can replace this with this, and we can replace that with that. Get rid of these. I think. So we're getting the status repo, and we're getting the status from here. I tell you what. This is feeling more and more like this needs to be upper level, but we'll too many things going on there. Let's do get get new status. Just get status, passing in the internal name that we need, and then that returns this. Sorry, no, it doesn't. It returns this. That's what I need to do, which we need to return. So it returns status web. Sorry, no, it doesn't. Stripe webhook status. There we go. Or null. That's better. We don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need this. Right. Then in here, we do get that stuff, passing in the status. So in here, we can pass in the status. There we go. Ah. Bingo. So that gets the events, that gets the status, passing in the type of status that we want to get. So yeah, in get events now, what we need to do is we need to get the status that we want to get, that we're after. In fact, we could do this, can't we? Protected function, get new events. And we can do this, get what did I just call that? Hang on, get events, get status, get. Why can I not get that from here? Odd. Right, let's just pass that in. Get status. Status is equal to you. Then we do return this get events, passing in the status, which is that. That then returns an array. Get new events. So up here, we change this to be get new events. There we go. So that's already made the decision that these events need to be of new. And maybe what we should do is, yeah, that's fine. We'll leave that as is. Now I'm gonna refactor this. I think this needs to be in an abstract. Let's go up to. I'll just grab it. So we'll do abstract stripe event processor command. In fact, we could probably get away with that. It extends the command, that's fine. We don't have any of this jazz. I don't think. We don't have a configure because that's done in on per command. We don't have an execute because that's done per command. What we do have though are the events. We can do that as well. Let's set all this to be protected. There we go. We need the entity manager. Do we need the entity manager? No, we don't need the entity manager. Do we need the... Yes, we do need the entity manager. Of course we do. We don't need the user manager though. Do we need the factory? We don't. We need the name. So we don't need that. Hang on, I'm just trying to think here. Do we need the payload? If we were to extend, if we were to do extends stripe abstract. Stripe event processor. So we need that. We need that. What we need to do is we need to do parent, passing up the we need the name. maybe we do need the Stripe factory, but that's the thing, we only do that within here, so maybe we don't. Yeah, maybe we don't. So we don't need that. But what we do need is to pass in the entity manager. So that can go, that can go, that can go. What else? Entity manager, yeah, we're not passing in the factory. It's just that, isn't it? So we don't pass the factory up. It's just this. I think. Okay, so that means because we've extended that, we don't need this, nor do we need this, or this, or this. Now, let me make sure, if we go to here, this entity manager, that needs to be set to protected. There we go. Why are you... Is it because I've misspelled this? Yeah, I have. There. That's all good. That's looking all good. There's no errors on here. Nope, that's great. So in here, we inject that. We don't bother with this anymore. We inject the factory. We set the factory to the current class, which I'm a bit unsure about, but we'll go with it. Configure, execute, repo, user manager. Aha, we need to sort that out. But we can get the events from there. Right, I see. One thing we will need to do though, when we do get events, is we want to make sure that the type that we get. Aha! Right, that needs to be changed per class, so there needs to be something up here, isn't there? So if we did a const... Sorry, my brain is going like in various different directions at the minute. So let's do const event underscore type is equal to... There we go. And that is a protected. I guess what we would have to do as well is set that into here, because then, yeah. So that will be self, because we can't pass that down. No, we could do that, actually. It's abstract. We could. Let me, I tell you what, first up, let's work through this thing here. That needs to be changed. So repo is this, get this entity manager, get repository, and its user class. There we go, that solves that. And then down here, where we've got the save and flushing going on, what we can do is this entity manager persist, passing in the Stripe customer, that deals with that thing. And then this one here, we do entity manager persist of user. And then down, what's this? Oh yeah, we're setting this thing. Okay, that's where we left off before I made my tea, isn't it? And then we do this. All of this is untested. I'm just throwing code around. This is flush. There we go. All right. So this could go in its own little method, but let's let's run the code first, shall we? But something I do need to sort out is this thing. I reckon what we need to do is have because this is abstract, we can enforce this. So let's do abstract get type. Yeah, there we go. And oh, I need to put in the actual thing. It's protected. It's public. Doesn't matter as long as it's not private. That's going to return a string. And we'll event type. Wait, hang on a minute. What's going on? Abstract pub. Sorry, my brain is in a different place right now to where my fingers are on the keyboard. This needs to be string get event type. Okay, because that's now abstract class. That needs. I thought that was abstract. It wasn't. There we go. Abstract class. Which means now that this needs to have get event type, which I don't know where it's put it here. And what we do is we just do return self event type. There we go. So so each one of these classes which deals with a particular event needs to have that is returned in here. And then what we can do in here, we can do this get event type. Boom. Okay, right, we've done a lot of code and not a lot of actually running and testing and anything. So let me just tidy things up. Let me just read it from top to bottom, and then let's go through it and actually run it. We'll deal with the status in a minute as well. So, get some tea. So the Stripe customer created event processor command. It extends the abstract Stripe processor. We have a protected constant, which is the event type, which is defined by the Stripe webhook type constants. So that should be customer.created, which it is. That is the normal name for this particular command. Then we also have a payload factory. Now I'm thinking that this should actually go in the abstract because they all need payload factories. To be honest, payload factories. I'm skipping ahead, aren't I? And then right, so then we do configure, execute. We do this get events, and then down here we deal with the payload store. This payload store. Then we check whether there is an instance type. I'm wondering if this can be done in the abstract, but we've done enough refactoring before we actually ran the code. So then we do Stripe customer ID, get the stuff, get the repository for the user. I mean, this all can go in its own method, to be fair. All of this stuff. Get the known user, find by. Right, so that's making a database call to find find the user by the Stripe customer, and if that's the case, then we skip. If not, we find the email that's coming off of the back of here. There we go, payload store. Then we create the Stripe customer and we assign that to the user. And then after this is done, we need to update this webhook to say this webhook's done. All right. There's a lot of work there. Let's go to here and actually see. First up, let's just make sure that when we get into the container, which is in here, if we go to oh no, hang on. Why did that not? Interesting. Why is that not? Is my container not up? There we go. It was just the shell just wasn't evaluated. Let's do from here. Let's do bin console. Come on. Oh, can't spell it. So we should have now a new command. Try typing. Oh, this chestnut. We got to do the interface. Yeah. Entity manager interface. There we go. And actually, before we do any more, I'm gonna just run PHP stan. So we'll do it up here. So we'll do make static analysis. Just want to make sure what I've done PHP stan approves before we even attempt to run it. Okay, there was 5 errors. Right, let's fix these 5 errors first. All right, so Stripe event. Is there 5 errors? Yeah, there is 5 errors. Let's do this one here. The abstract. Parameter 1 on status method get events expects a status or a status of null. That's been given. Get events. Get events. Okay, give me a sec. I just need to check on Murphy. Give me a mo. Okay, sorry about that. We have like 15 minutes before I'm going to shoot off for lunch, so let's go through these errors. So abstract, get events, status, but null is returned. Okay. So that is in here, and that is line 30. Line 30 is down here. Aha. This is going to return all null, so what we can do is if empty, no, if, is that going to just return status? Yeah, it is. So if status instance of webhook status, then what we do is we just simply return an empty array. Okay, that should cover that one off. So then here we got parameter 1 of the created of thing there. Parameter on line 27 expects. Yeah, I see. Oh no, it's the wrong thing. I might have it here. Yeah. Parameter 1. It's this one. Customer created command. Customer created event. Parameter 1. Entity manager interface. Entity manager construct. That's what I need. Entity manager interface. Right. Line 56, call to get email on an undefined Stripe payload interface. Aha. That is down in here, isn't it? On get email. And we're running it off of payload store. Payload store is not Stripe customer interface. Interesting. I'll let that slide for a minute. This one here is the store factory. So line 31. Make payload store should return a payload store interface, but returns that or that. Do they not implement that? I thought they did. I thought I had them implementing that. Yeah. Weird. Alright, let me just run static analysis again. That's what I thought. Well, that's what we did. Three errors this time. Still going on about that email and still saying, I think once we fix this one, I think those two will go. So this is on the factory. This one here. Payload store, edit, new, payload store, customer, payload store interface. It implements that with the get ID. So method of make payload store should return Stripe payload store interface, which it does. App Stripe event store payload store interface. Hold on. Hang on. Where is that interface? It's an interface. Where is it in terms of fileage? Should be in here. Ah, it's there. Sorry. Yeah, that's in the right spot. So I don't understand. Why can you not see that we implement that going through as a factory we instantiate this, and even if right. That's so strange. Should return payload store interface, but returns the concrete class or null. Why is it returning all null? Oh, right. It's returning all null because of this. I see. We actually need to throw an exception. Throw new exception. Cannot find payload store for, and then we can do dot this no event get type. Right, there we go. There we go. So that's going to throw that exception. Let me run that again. I think that might cover it because it was the null. Come on, I want to grab my lunch. Right, here we go. 2 errors. Get email on the interface. Payload customer has returned a call to undefined method on here. Get email on line 56. Which is that one. Payload store. Okay. Yes. So we need to. Sorry. At this point, we need to continue. And let's run it again. There we go. Next one is this one has no return type hint. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, let's grab that. It's a string. Right, Stan, are you happy? Yay! So from here, if we ran this again, bin console, we should have our new console command. Which we do. And if I was to run this, so if we did bin console queue report, what we need, and we'll do this after lunch, is we need to have an event in here which has customer.created, and then what I'll do is run this. So if I ran that now, it'll say 0 events found. That's because it's hit down in here. It's gone here. And it can't loop over anything because there's nothing to loop over. So what we need to do after lunch is we need to actually create an event through Stripe, capture that, store that into the database, and then run this through as our sort of test example, and then I need to update the status. I think that's probably much better than it was before. I've still kept this stuff that we had previously, so the payload handler, but I think this is a much better way of doing it. So I would create a store for every specific type of, well, I won't say type of event, it's type of object off of Stripe that I care for. So in this case, it would be customer or invoice, and I can do like, I could do this, right? I could do this. So customer dot deleted will also go through down in here, or I could do invoice dot created, or whatever the event is, and it's always going to return me back the store that holds the event payload, and that event payload will have specific methods from that particular payload. And the way I had it before was I had things specifically for the plan, specifically for getting the customer ID, but from the point of view of an invoice, and it doesn't really work when I'm dealing with all the events. So, and plan ID from there, it doesn't make sense because the customer doesn't have any of this, so that's not going to return anything. And this isn't how you get the customer ID if you're running through just the customer event. It is, though, if you're running through the invoice event. So once we run through this, I need to then backfill the invoice created event command, whatever it's called. This one, the paid event command, and basically extend the thing that the abstract, which means that we have access to the events. I can supply the type of the event based on my fancy jazzy event type here, and because it extends an abstract class, it means that I must have an event type that is returned. But yeah, I think it's all starting to make more sense in my head from an architectural point of view. Anywho, I'm gonna grab some lunch. I'll see you probably in about 2 hours, something like that. Take care, everyone. Happy coding, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Find the off switch.